Okay, hello everybody out there in Hoop Hunter Nation. I'm Deon Hunter. Welcome to Hoop Hunter Basketball. This is just a rap session. I got my boy Jackson Coates, who's back in town. He came to the gym today to visit. And how's it going?
It's good, it's good. It's been a long time since I've actually been back on the court.
Yeah. What'd you think about as you drove up? It's been a while. It's been a couple of years.
It's it's something where it's that ride up. It's singular to hoop hunters. You don't really get that experience anywhere else, and there's no horse scenic anywhere else. It's something special. It really is.
Yeah. Hey guys, so check this out. So many years ago, when Jackson was a young player, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, on up through high school, he played at ended up finishing up high school at South Lake, Carroll High School, and he played ball there. But I trained him a lot, and he was on fire for the game. And man, he was one of my best students that I really enjoyed training. And to see him today just brought joy to my heart. And he's been now out of high school for what, 2 years?
Yeah, about 2 years.
2 years, and so last time he was here, I think he was a junior and he volunteered, which I'm really grateful for you to be, thoughtful enough to come back and do that. And I want to see more people out there that come through here come back and volunteer with us doing camps and stuff like that, because our young players can learn a lot from you. And it's all about giving back, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's about giving back. So tell us about where you were at and what's going on since you've been out for 2 years. So did you choose a local college to go to around here, or you?
Yeah.
Where are you at now?
So, I had that kind of crossroads in my life when I hit around, I would say my sophomore, junior year. It's like, do I continue to pursue basketball? Because I kind of saw the writing on the wall in a lot of cases where it's like I wasn't achieving and I wasn't practicing at the same caliber that is needed for a hyper-competitive school, something that I really wanted. So it was either, go through basketball, go through the motions, and not really achieve anything that is completely special.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that maybe my path wasn't continuing my basketball career at past high school.
Yeah, and that's okay. Yeah, that's okay.
And I saw that, so I ended up enrolled in DePaul University up in Chicago.
Straight up,
Yeah.
DePaul. Oh my gosh.
That's funny.
Why DePaul? I mean, what led you to DePaul?
So, funny enough, I think, when God closes a door, He opens another one. And when my basketball, when I started to not have that fire in my life anymore, you can't force it. And the thing.
Wait, what did you just say? You can't what?
You can't force the
You
fire.
can't force the fire,
You can't
man.
force
Exactly.
the
You got to know when to go.
Yeah.
You got to know, and you got to be content. Were you satisfied when you felt that led to, okay, you know what? I'm ready to hang them up. I'm good.
Yeah.
Were you?
Because it was because if I didn't recognize, and it's hard to recognize when it's gone, because you're in this state of denial where I played basketball since I was 8.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I kind of realized that it wasn't gonna be my life around 17, and it's a hard realization to happen because it's kind of like it's the only thing you've known in your life,
Right.
And it's really hard to branch from it. But the thing is, I think God wanted me to develop myself in basketball, but that wasn't my trajectory. And
Right.
He opened up a door of film, weirdly enough.
Yeah.
And so I'm enrolled. I went to DePaul University because it's one of the top film schools
Okay.
in the nation. And I
hear you
about my passion.
Yeah. And I heard you say it as one of the.
Dropped it down.
I saw it. You just you just dropped that. Yeah, but you said it's one of the top though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's like here at Hoop Hunter Basketball. I always say excellency, man. We do things with a high degree
Yes.
of excellency, man, and that's what people come here for, man, because they know we care and we're willing to go beyond. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're result oriented. You know what I mean? And when you get your feel in this game, hopefully what we've taught you can be used throughout all areas of life. You know what I mean?
100%.
To propel you to be the best that you can be beyond the game, beyond the court. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The tenets of basketball that lead to success are the tenets that lead to success in life. I think in general, determination, dedication, passion, and I think work ethic. Those are all kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
But that is something that I think Hoop Hunters is like. Look at the signs around the wall.
Yeah.
It's built into y'all's program, and it's also the key elements to success anywhere else, whether it's whatever profession you want.
Yeah.
And and that's what I think I took from basketball.
Yeah.
And I think that's why God kind of put me in that place, because He needed to build that character. And if you don't have that character of determination, dedication, you won't be able to achieve excellence.
Right.
You know,
that dedication is a big one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then your character goes a long way too, though. And you have to know when that day has come, when you have to say, you know what, it's time for me to pivot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I have been training now for 31 years, and I've made some pivots in my life. You know what I mean? As a trainer, I still like training at a high level, but I also enjoy, being a GM. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I enjoy mentoring and molding and shaping the lives of our trainers and leading them in the direction that they can go, so they can continue to shepherd, so to speak, new sheep, young sheep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we all have to know how to shepherd, and so I'm spending time building them up, and that's really been pleasing to me. Let me ask you a question. How's your mom and dad?
They're great. They're good. They're back at home. My dad just recently broke his wrist, actually, and it just healed. And he's a big basketball player.
Yeah. I know.
You know.
Yeah. How's mom?
She's good. She's leading her Sunday school. She's plugged into the church.
Yeah.
And you know how.
Oh, I get it, man. She's on fire, man. I enjoyed her. I miss them dearly, and I was just so pleased the other day. Periodically, God put all of the young Hoop Hunter alums. He'll put players in my heart, and boom, I gotta check on y'all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Connect, and it's all about connectivity. And I'm like, when he puts y'all in my heart, I reach out to you right then and there. You know what I mean? And you told me a couple of weeks ago, you're like, hey, when I come back home, I'm you know what I mean? And when you hit me the other day, I was like, yes, he did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, but to see you now, you know what I mean? How tall are you now?
6'1".
6'1", and so when we were training, I mean, I'm talking about on a regular, he was like this, you know what I mean? But he was astute, you know what I mean? He was very attentive to everything that I would say, and I used to leave here saying, man, I hope my sons be like this dude, you know what I mean? And so I can't tell you how much it means to me to see you back home and sitting here with me and just rapping and just sharing with the world, you know what I mean? A little bit about the game and the game of life, And so tell me a little bit more about DePaul, man. What's it like to be at DePaul University? And tell me a little bit about your the area of interest in film that you're doing and how that, what do you tell us a little bit about that, how that coming along?
Well, I think the big appeal, well, it's not even appeal to why I went to DePaul, but I got to DePaul and I kind of realized just how different it was from my entire life. I was born and raised in the same town that I grew up, that I was born in. So I stayed in Texas, in South Lake, Texas, nearly from 1 to 18.
Okay.
And it's, I like South Lake a lot, but it's very the same. It's the same.
Yeah.
And I went out to DePaul and I kind of realized I needed to break out of that shelter.
Yeah.
I needed to see kind of the real world.
Yeah.
You can't really, and it's a great place to develop a person, like South Lake, I think.
Yeah.
Develop, grow up, but it's not conducive to actually building and achieving more.
Yeah.
You've got to break out of your comfort zone, because that's what and I don't want to say South Lake is a comfort zone, but
I've been through it, and coming out of South Oak Cliff, I mean, I had to break out of that community, you know what I mean, that I grew up in in order to grow. You know what I mean? And I'm grateful to Oak Cliff. I'm grateful to the city of Dallas, but I thank God that I went beyond and I got to see what it's like to live in Chile. You know what I mean? To go and live in Argentina, and to go to Scotland and London and live there for a while, and playing ball, allowed me to travel and see, 38 plus states, and I met friends all over today that are still my friends.
Yeah.
It broadened my horizons, you know what I mean? And it allowed me to learn how to accept people who are not like me, you know what I mean? And it taught me how to appreciate them as well. And I love all facets of life, different genres of music. I like people who like things that I don't like, you know what I mean? And I like big cities, I like small cities, I like big countries, I like small countries. I like a lot of things, but I've learned to like that because I was able to go beyond, the place in which I grew up, and all I knew was, the city of Dallas. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so South Lake is kind of like that for you. So you just went outside of that community, and you're like, you just broaden your horizons.
And the funny thing too is I was nervous. I was nervous about going into a big city, and there's really no rationale behind it because there's nothing inherently scary about a big city.
Right.
But it was that comfort. It was that stepping out of your comfort zone that's scary.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I felt kind of like maybe I should stay close to home.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't do this. And if I did that, I would be where I was.
Right,
I wouldn't have stepped into like my next stage of life. And I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with. And it's kind of like you have to challenge yourselves.
Yeah.
You have to challenge yourself in ways that you don't want to actually continue to build yourself.
Right.
If not, then you'll end up in this like stagnant development, which is never what is intended, I don't think.
No, I don't think so. I think God wants us to continue to grow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And as part of His scripture says that God wills that we have life and have it more abundantly, you know what I mean, on earth as it is in heaven. And so God wants us to grow, you know what I mean? And I think, again, getting uncomfortable, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And getting outside of your comfort zone is hard for some people. You know what I mean? I've known people that says, I don't want to go that far away from home. I want to stay close because I won't know anybody. So how did that happen? Have you met some good friends at the university?
Yeah, I met some good friends, and weirdly enough, too, I was randomly assigned a roommate when at my first year at DePaul, and that roommate happened to live, 5 minutes away from me, from South Lake. And same major as well. So it's kind of like, it's this weird thing of like, yeah, you're stepping out of your comfort zone, but I think when you challenge yourself like that, I think God places you in a space that is still kind of familiar to you because as unfamiliar as every setting is, there's still a sense of like a familiarity between everybody. It's just common shared things, and I think it's really interesting. Dynamic in that way.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: how have you been able to maintain those core values that were taught throughout the years, home, outside the home, this coach, that coach, and how have you been able to maintain those core values, living in a big city, you know what I mean, having a lot more freedom, you know what I mean, how have you been able to, maintain that, with all due respect to having freedom to do anything you want, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's interesting because it's hard. And I'm not perfect. I don't want to make it seem like
right. I get it.
But it is something where it's like, if it's important to you, if those core values are truly important to you, whether it be whatever, then you need to prioritize it. You know, you need to put it first in your life, because if you want something, you kind of have to realize it and say, okay, if this is what I want, then what are the steps I need to do to take this?
Right.
And regardless of where you are, you shouldn't let your surrounding influences, change what you want.
Exactly.
And from where I came, it's like I wanted to excel, not success wise, but personal wise in my profession, and then also just in like my personal life.
Right.
And I realized that, so I had it. So everything I did, every step I did, I had to make sure that I wasn't going back on what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really want it, because some people don't want it.
Right.
And that's when they start to fall into these like, drug issues or other like girl issues, something like that.
Yeah.
So if they just didn't have a palpable want.
Right.
And if you recognize what you really want, it shouldn't be that hard to remain integral or to remain true to
no, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Tell me about the film. What are you looking to do? What are your aspirations with the film and the film business? What do you like to do? Because, I like video and stuff like this. You can tell. I can't believe this is the first time I've actually heard of this.
Yeah.
And so I always tell people, man, I've got the best gig in the world, but I'm so grateful that I stayed here long enough in this industry, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've just seen God just grow and groom me. And I've been seeing so many unique young people, talented people outside of the game go into professions that I'm like, you
Yeah.
know, I mean, it amazes me what y'all are doing, and so I'm happy for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I get to be a part of it too. So tell me about the film industry and what it is you're looking to do long term.
Yeah, so I knew that was gonna be funny too, because
Yeah.
it was a slow development for me, or a slow process for me to get into film. Like, I first started kind of getting into film around like 15 or 16.
Okay.
And you know, it's just developed to like a really just like true
Yeah.
passion in me
Yeah.
the past like 3 years or so. And I knew it was gonna be funny, just like dropping my passion. Such a shift.
You didn't come in here and drop some things on me
Yeah.
today, which is good though. You know what I mean?
I knew that was gonna be a bit of a risk.
Yeah.
But it is something where it's like it's who I am, and I don't want to sound hyperbolic, but I do want to kind of like emphasize, like, it's not something where it's like I thought it was cool,
Right.
You know, because you see that a lot of times, especially with film, because I think it's like a flashy
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
People will be like, "Oh, I think it's cool. I'll enroll in that."
Yeah,
and they're
yeah,
just
yeah.
wasting their time.
Wait a minute. They're just what?
They're just wasting their time.
Hey, parents out there, you know about this. You've had a child, you've helped get them through that first and second year, and then that third year comes, and they choose this, and they know it's something that they really don't have a passion for, and you put out that money, that time, the energy, and then the next year they say, you know what, I've changed my mind, right? And it's kind of like, what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to get it together. You have to get it together quickly, and so that you don't use that time unwisely.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I can't even put that in better words.
Yeah.
It is. Because it can be whatever, you know. It can be basketball, it can be film, it could be anything. And it's hard to find what you really like are passionate for, especially if you're kind of in like a lost area. And I don't want to look down on anyone who hasn't found a passion.
Right.
But film for me is something where it's like it's clear that I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life.
Right.
And
Wait, doing it for what now?
The rest of my life.
Oh, see, this is what I'm saying, man. Sometimes in life, when you find what you want, be intentional about what you want to do to go get it and become it. You know what I mean? It's like if I could become a basketball, I would. You know what I mean? But I know in my heart, this is what I am going to do. This is what I am. You know what I mean? And then I asked God to use it in a God-pleasing way, and He did, and He has. And so no matter what hardships I've gone through this, all of my failures have contributed immensely to my success.
No,
and success is. And as I get older, I believe that I'm going to do greater things because thus saith the Lord. And so I get excited, you know, as I move forward into some of these grander days and years, you know what I mean? Because I'm saying, man, there are greater days ahead, starting with today. You know what I mean? Even seeing you today is a great day for me. It's not a good day. It's a great day because I've seen you come from here, a little shoot, and now you're built up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Man, like a tree from Lebanon. You know what I mean? So I'm excited. You know what I mean? So go ahead and tell me a little bit more about what you want to do with this film. Yeah.
So I'm a director writer. That's kind of what I've been directing, writing films for about a couple years now. And
Okay.
That's why I love it. You know, there's reasons, because film's a very big thing. There's so many different aspects to it, but you know, that's just what I'm gonna be doing probably, you know, for the rest of my life, because it's just something natural. I wake up every day, and that's, you know, because it's second nature. You know, if you don't find yourself, and it's not work, especially when it's that.
There again, I like the way I'm playing on words a little bit, y'all. He said it's second nature.
Yeah.
When you find something and it's second nature to you, it's a wrap.
It's always.
I know it. I mean, it's like when I go down there to train, you know what I mean? I've been doing this 31 years. I'm like, there's no element to this game that I don't find creative, you know what I mean?
Yes,
and I'm like, and I want to indulge in it. You know what I mean? You bring me a problem, and I am going to find a solution. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I love about the Word of God and the good book. You know, I tell people, man, when you go do something, man, before going out on a limb, man, social media telling everybody your business, open a good book, man. God's got an answer for every problem. I'm telling you, go to Him first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I tell you, in this game, when people bring people in, it's like, oh my God, some people, when they come in, they don't need you to hammer on skills. They just need you to build them up. You know what I mean? And knowing that by itself will leverage them, you know what I mean, and have a profound impact on their life for the rest of their life.
100%.
Just build them up.
Yeah.
Tell them they can. Believe in them. Give them words of affirmation to let them know you're already doing that the right way.
Yeah.
Now do more of it. You know what I mean? Oh, I was, and you know what I mean. And so for me, when I wake up and I come to this gym, man, I don't know what and where it's gonna come from. That joy that says, I don't care what I touch. I don't care if it's paying a bill. You know what I mean? I love writing checks. I like them to get bigger. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, God give me a creative idea, and then I insert it into what we're doing. I talk about it first, I put it on paper, then I share it with our staff, and then boom. If it's something that we feel like will have a greater impact on the lives of young people and their families or in our communities, we do it. But that's what I love. The creative side of it, for me, is just it's unfathomable, and it's something I love about what we do.
I love the way you talk about it too, because it's regardless of where the passion lies, it's the same. If it's true, it's the same. It's the same thing. You know, it's that indescribable, like hard to articulate, but just like fully invested type of.
That's another key one. Fully, I'm taking some footnotes. Fully invested. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things, and that's paramount in all areas of life. Some people say, "Man, I don't know why it didn't seem like people like me," but you gotta. What is it you're trying to do, and are you fully invested?
Yeah.
And some people aren't. They don't get that. And it's like you keep. You know, it's like a double-minded man. The Bible says unstable in all his ways. You know what I mean? But you got to be all in.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You can't force that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can to a certain degree, but it's not gonna give you the results that you want. You know, and I wouldn't even focus on results as like a key thing, because if it's true passion, you're not worried about.
Yeah, early results sometimes doesn't determine what the end results are going to be.
You don't need results. You need those failures. You need those knocking down, because without those, you're gonna if you succeed, just continue to succeed. You don't have any character, and that's a really easy thing where it's like failure builds character, of course.
Right.
But if it's a true passion, you shouldn't be afraid of failure whatsoever.
That's right.
You're not like, I don't care if I flop, because I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna do it again.
Exactly. And then that failure, all it's doing is building muscles.
Yeah.
It's just building muscles. It's like doing a push-up. You know what I mean?
100%.
Everybody wants to look good, but some people don't want to do the push-up.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, hey man, get down there and do the push-up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Run that extra mile. You know what I mean? Read that book. You know what I mean? And knowledge is power, man. And sometimes experience is the same thing. And so they go hand in hand. You know what I mean? I think that when you're doing the right things, no matter what path you choose, they all lead to the same destination point, you know what I mean, to where you're peaking at the right time in the area of your giftedness. And so, well, listen, let me ask you a question. Since we're video on this, what can you share with young people who right now they're playing the game, loving the game, liking the game, but they're almost entering that point when it's almost over, and they're going to come to that end of the road when they gotta make a decision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm talking about the people who I probably would say need to really reassess
what they want.
Meaning, at some point in life, though, you got to come to terms with the fact that I've got my field. I'm good. You with me? I'm just saying.
No.
You either get your field or you're empty. I've emptied out. I've given the game everything I got. And because some people are afraid they're afraid to take these off. Yeah. They're afraid to, because you know what I mean? I'm like, there's a lot of other things out there.
There really is.
Don't be afraid.
And so if anyone's going through that, it's kind of like, don't view it as giving up. Don't view it as like throwing in the towel or anything. It's kind of like you've given everything you can to it, and there's really no merit in continuing it.
Right? You hear that? There's no merit in continuing it.
You're basically beating a dead horse to the degree of you're forcing something that you don't love. You're forcing something that doesn't really have a future, and maybe it's not. You need to reassess that maybe it's not God's path for you.
Right.
And it's very hard. It's a very hard thing to do, especially if you've given your life to it, or at this moment, because think about the bigger picture. Your ages whenever you picked up basketball, whether it be like 8 or 10 to like 16 to 19, that may feel like your entire life. Right. But the thing is, it's not. Right. You have so many more years ahead of it.
Yes.
And so you shouldn't you shouldn't continue to try and do something that you were doing as a child.
Right.
You know, you take what you learned from basketball. In my case, it was kind of like perseverance.
Yes.
And I think work ethic were the main two ones.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I don't know. There's a lot.
No, that's okay. Yeah.
But recognize that maybe God wanted you to have that passion for basketball, but now it's not. Now it's not the path anymore.
Right.
And it's hard to realize that, but once you do realize it, it makes it so much easier to find.
But I think you get a notion though. I think God gives you a notion. If you don't, you
Yeah.
may not want to read the writing on the wall.
It's there though.
But you with me? I'm like, I'm not a banker. You know what I mean? I'm not an accountant.
Yeah.
But we have one. I've hired one. I know where my strengths are, and I know where my shortcomings are in certain areas of life. You know what I mean? And I try to make sure that I don't overextend them unnecessarily to where it amounts to nothing. You know, at some point you got to say, I've done a good job. I've given it my best. And you have to be proud and pleased with the service that you've given into this beautiful game, which is sometimes, ugly, but for the most part, I think it just helps shapes us for life and what God has predetermined that we're going to be doing. But you have to know when enough is enough. And you have to know that God never intended us to use the game to define who we are. Not the game. Not whether we win 30 games a year or not. Don't let the game define you. You know what I mean? And you let what the Word of God says define you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so God says in His Word, I created you in my image, and I created you with a spirit of confidence and not fear. Then the Word of God tells us to be strong and to be courageous and to do not fear. You know what I mean? He says, because God will be your strength and be with you everywhere you go. And that's Joshua 1:9. Those are the things that we have to take to heart with us when we leave the game. You know what I mean? Whatever sport it is. But don't measure yourself by way of whether you play college ball or not. Whether you go to college and play intramural or not. Because actually, what did you tell me? You said, man, I don't even really pick it up anymore.
Yeah, weirdly enough, I picked it up last night. I was at the gym, and I was like, you know what? The court was empty. I'm gonna go inside and pick it up, and it felt just like it's so relaxing. And I'm not saying don't turn your back from basketball.
Right, not at all.
That's not what I'm trying to say. But it is something where it's like, I just knew it wasn't my calling.
Right.
And I could either, trap myself into this box and back myself into a corner where I am forcing something. Basketball's not an easy thing already.
Right.
And if you don't have that passion, it's like it's a losing game, So it's hard to recognize when to step away.
Yeah.
But it's so important to do.
Downstairs we were talking briefly, and we're about to shorten this and cut this off. But we were talking downstairs, and you said something. Talk a little bit about it, and then we'll get this. We'll shut this down. But we talked about how important getting the basics, fundamentals down at an early age.
Yeah.
How important that is versus starting late.
Yeah. So it is something where it's like, I think, regardless of basketball, regardless of what it is, in this case it was basketball for me, but I don't think I'd be the person I was in terms of like my film or just my personal life if I didn't have these core tenets developed in me as a young age.
Right.
And because I had such a good experience in basketball, not good experience, but I had that experience.
Well,
in
I think it was
basketball.
good. Yeah, I think it was good. Yeah, I do it good.
It was kind of like I recognized the importance of for lack of a better word, practice.
Yeah.
Because once I stopped, having that passion, once I stopped practicing, I stopped seeing the results, and I stopped being good. And I can be like, why isn't coach playing me? Or like, why are my shots not going in? What's going on?
Right.
But what it goes back to is that passion, and because I learned that from an early age of the importance of dedication, the importance of work ethic.
Right.
I recognize that if you attack or approach anything in life without that perseverance, without that dedication, you're gonna have the same mixed result that we kind of all experience at some point with basketball.
Yeah.
And
It's like a roller coaster.
It is. Yeah.
You know, you're looking for
really
consistency,
is.
but it's like a roller coaster because it requires consistency.
Yeah.
It requires dedication. It requires it. You know what I mean? I've been doing what I'm doing now 31 years, but people ask me, how do I maintain it? I've never put the ball down. I've never quit learning. I've never, you know what I mean? And so I give praise and credit to God, but I'm not ready to, you know what I mean? I'm having so much fun with it that I don't want to quit, and I can just tell you that is true. Whatever you do the most, you grow the most.
And if you find that maintenance as a chore, I think that's a signal that maybe this isn't your future.
Right,
You know,
right.
because although yes, basketball, especially practice, is hard and it's not like always fun.
Right.
You know, it's still kind of like a if the passion's there, it's not a chore.
Right.
And if you find that practice and that continued dedication starting to become a chore, that's where I think your priorities are starting to shift, and you can't force that.
No,
that's,
I don't
that's
think
that
you can.
recognition.
Oh,
You know?
of course.
And if you don't find picking up the ball as a chore ever,
Right.
so of course you can stay always in the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for me, I found it hard, and I was trying to be like, I wasn't as hardworking as I was.
Right.
And I was still expecting myself to perform at a high level.
Yeah.
You know, it's
I
ludicrous
get
to
it.
think
I get it.
about.
I get it.
It's
But the
funny.
good thing about this is that the Bible says that to thine own self be true, and at some point you have to be true to yourself.
Yeah.
Where am I? You
Yeah.
have to make an assessment. Where am I? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And you have to be honest with yourself, and then from that point on, realize that, you know what? I'm good, man. You know what I mean? I've done this well. Well, listen, on behalf of Hoop on Basketball, Deon Hunter, and Jackson Coates, my dude, you know what I mean? This is a good dude. We want to thank y'all for tuning in to us. And listen, what we'll do is when you go and come back, you know, put a little time into this, will you come back and we'll do another video?
Yes, of course.
All right. Well, listen, Jackson and Deon, we're signing off. Man, I appreciate you, boy.
Of course.
Way to go.